Hello friends, welcome back to Java and Joy. Today I am going to be teaching you how to prioritize yourself. It is so hard to put ourselves first, but it's so important that we do. And oftentimes we either forget that or we don't believe it. So I'm really excited for this episode because of course it's all going to tie into self-care, which if you are new to me, you will quickly find out that I 100% believe that self-care is the first thing you need to work on before you change anything else in your life, because it is critical. So that's what we're going to be covering today. But before we get started, get yourself a beverage, get comfy, get a nice seat. It doesn't have to be coffee. Mine's always coffee, hence Java and Joy. But if you need some tea or some water or a mocktail, whatever works, grab your cup. Cheers. This is your time to relax and focus on you. So you're already prioritizing you by listening to this episode, which is exciting. I also want to start with our body scan because I want you to be able to be present and actually enjoy this time for yourself. So just start from the top of your head, tippity top, work your way down and release any tension that you're holding on to. Shrug the shoulders, shake out the hands, loosen up. Deep breath. Feel a little more relaxed? All right. So let's talk about how to prioritize yourself. First of all, if you're wondering, why do I need to do this? Because prioritizing yourself is learning to practice self-care. And self-care is what fills up your cups. It's what charges your batteries. It what fills your tank. Whatever metaphor you need to use. But just know, in a nutshell, you are the best version of yourself when your tanks are full. You're going to be a better woman, mom, daughter, employee, friend, sister, dog mom, a better person when you have full cups, because then you're not drained. You're not operating on 50% or low battery. You are able to be present and actually be in the moment with the people you love when you're spending that very, very special time with them, instead of being half asleep or having your mind in 100 other places. You can just be there with them because you're taken care of. It's kind of like when you go on a flight, if you've ever flown anywhere, they always tell you, put on your oxygen mask first, because you're useless to anyone else if you're not taken care of first. You're no good. You're passed out. It's kind of the same thing when you're running on low batteries. It's just you're not fully charged. You're not fully able to function at full capacity. So that's why prioritizing yourself is so important. And it's more than just thinking of it as self-care. So let's first start with setting boundaries. Now I'm going to be doing an entire episode just on this at some point, because setting boundaries is so hard to do. We often think that if we say no to something, we're going to let someone down. We don't want to let people down, at least not the people we love and care about. And we don't want to feel guilty by letting them down, right? But at the end of the day, you can't say yes to everything, especially if those things aren't helping you. They're not fulfilling you. They're not bringing you joy. If you are doing things that are draining you, that are not serving you, they're just zapping your energy, They're not aligning with your values. They're not aligning with your priorities. Those are the things that you have got to remove from your activity list, from your to-do list, because you don't need them. Now, I understand there are some things in life that we just gotta do, like go to work. We gotta do the dishes. We gotta do the laundry. We gotta run the errands. All those things have to be done. That's just part of life. But what I'm saying is that you don't have to say yes to every single thing that people ask you to do. Maybe it's a birthday party, or it's usually social events, honestly, that we feel obligated that if we're invited, we have to attend. This is not true. This is not true. And I'm not going to tell you to make up elaborate lies and say, oh, I can't come because of yada, yada, yada. No, you just say, I have that time set aside to spend with myself, and I need that. Or you can just be honest and tell them, I'm socially drained, and I'm really trying to focus on scheduling out and sticking to me time on a regular basis. Don't be afraid to just be honest with people. You don't have to be rude. It's not like you're slapping them in the face. Just say, look, honestly, I've got time for me scheduled there. So that's what I mean by saying no to things. You don't have to do everything for everybody. Obviously, if someone asks for your genuine help and you have the capacity to help someone, help them. But that does not mean that you have to overextend yourself on every single thing that is asked of you. You just don't. And that's putting yourself first. That's prioritizing yourself. So that's number one, set boundaries and stick to them. And I know that can be easier said than done, but just think about the next time that you're asked something of you, or to do something or be somewhere. And if you instantly feel overwhelmed from it, stop and ask yourself, do I really need to do this? Is anyone actually benefiting from me doing this? Does this person really need me there or to do this? Because like I said, if it's something that you're really they need your help and you can be there and be their hero, be their hero. But if it's just, oh, my kid's turning 4, or it's a baby shower, or whatever, a gala, a charity event, there's a million things. And you can run yourself ragged attending all these things. Or you can choose to only be a part of the things that serve you and say no to the rest. For me, I get asked to do a lot of charity work. And most of the time I say yes. But sometimes I just can't be at every event. But doesn't mean that I can't make a donation, right? I can still donate to that cause. I don't have to physically go to every single event, nor do I have the capacity to do so. So that's what I mean. Try to find, ways to have a happy medium, but there are definitely things you can say no to. And those are the things I'm telling you, you have permission to do so. You have permission to put yourself first. Now, after we've set these boundaries, we are allowing ourselves to chisel out me time. See how that worked? See how we got to me time so fast today? Again, it comes down to self-care, but this is where you're actually going to block out time for those self-care activities. You're not just going to say, oh, once a week, I'm going to take a walk. Or sometime this week, I'm going to take a nice long bath. You're literally going to put it on your calendar. Like this Thursday from 8 to 9 is bath time. Or every Friday from 7:30 to 8, I get time to read my book. Or maybe it's every night, which it should be, to be perfectly honest. I get 10 minutes before bed to read a chapter of the book that I'm in. Or to listen to my favorite ASMR, whatever. But you're gonna actually be intentional and you're going to schedule that time ahead. And if you need to do pop-up reminders, set an alarm on your phone, whatever it needs to be accountable, do so. Because see, now you have that extra block of time because you've set a boundary, you've said no to something, and you've committed to spending a chunk of time with yourself at that scheduled appointment, we'll call it. You're making appointments with yourself, okay? And by doing these steps, that's gonna lead in to the next way to prioritize yourself, and that's practicing self-compassion. We have got to learn to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we offer to our friends and even strangers. We're kind and respectful and so helpful and gracious to so many people except ourselves. We do not show ourselves grace, and we have to learn to do that because we are not perfect. No matter how hard you strive to be, you're just never going to be 100%, and that is fine. It is fine. Learn to acknowledge your strengths, remind yourself of your strengths on a daily basis, by the way, which is positive self-talk, which was our last episode. Go back and listen if you missed that one. But keep reminding yourself of the things that you are good at, that you've done well. What are your accomplishments? What are you proud of? What goals did you reach? What mini milestones have you met? But then also learn to forgive yourself for mistakes, shortcomings, anytime that you didn't quite make the goal, okay? Learn to show yourself grace. That is self-compassion. Love yourself. Tell yourself that you love yourself. Tell yourself that you forgive yourself and that it's okay. You are not perfect, and you are not going to be perfect for everybody. And let me tell you, ladies, let me tell you this. You do not have to be Superwoman or Wonder Woman or whatever you want to call it. You don't. Because at the end of the day, your kids are going to grow up. You probably aren't going to be at the same job forever, statistically, just not likely. You're always going to have you, though, even though all these other things may not always be around, right? People leave, things happen. We lose family members, people move away, but you're always going to have you. So make you your priority. And to do that, you really do have to actually love yourself and be willing to show that love to yourself, both by kind words and by forgiveness. And also, while you're prioritizing yourself and showing that compassion, you've got to focus on your well-being. And your well-being is physical, it's emotional, and it's mental. Spiritual, I like to throw in there too. These are things like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating foods that nourish your body? I'm not saying don't ever eat junk food. You don't have to eat 100% healthy. Now, of course, there are people with very strict dietary regulations and restrictions and nutritional needs. By all means, follow those. But for the general population, having a little treat here or there is fine. But in general, make sure you're putting things in your body that actually fuel your body. Find a balance, right? Also, exercising regularly. And that's just movement in general. It doesn't have to be rigorous exercise. Engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. All of those are ways to focus on your well-being. And when you focus on your well-being, you are prioritizing yourself. Make sense? Following me? The next thing you're going to do to prioritize you is you're going to learn to delegate tasks. This is a tough one, especially for us control freaks. This is hard. Even I struggle here on a regular basis. Delegating tasks is one of those things that really takes practice, especially if you are someone who is a control freak. And a lot of times we're just so used to doing it all as women. Like, we're the caretakers, we're the schedulers, we're the planners. We're the ones that get stuff done. So for us to take something off our own plate and put it on another feels almost like we failed. That's how it feels, but it's not true. We didn't fail. We simply can't do it all and still keep our sanity and be the best version of ourselves because we're drained. We have got to learn to delegate some responsibilities to those around us to free up a little extra time for us to focus on activities that are important to us, that fill our cups, that affect our well-being, and that bring us joy. I often say, create family chore charts, sit down, decide, who can be responsible for what. Maybe you can rotate things. Maybe the same person doesn't take the trash out every day, or do the dishes or unload the dishwasher. Maybe mix it up. But either way, delegate. There are things you can delegate, and it doesn't mean that you have failed. It is okay that you're not going to do it all. Do a lot, just not all. Find that balance. It really all comes down to balance. And it's a hard thing to find. And it does take diligence and practice and willpower. But you can do it. You can absolutely do it. The last thing you need to do on a regular basis to make sure you're prioritizing yourself is connecting with others. It is so critical to surround yourself with support systems. This can be friends, family members, coworkers, community groups, any person or groups of people who uplift you, encourage you, are willing to be a cheerleader for you. Those are your support systems. Those are the people you surround yourself with, that you spend the most time with. Because when you build strong connections, you have a sense of belonging, and it really does provide you with the means of support when you hit challenging times, because you will. We all do. We all have seasons that we go through that feel like sometimes they're never going to end. We call them like, oh, we're in a rut. We're in, having a tough time. And sometimes they do feel relentless. But you're always going to have downs. It's part of life. It's part of the journey. It's what honestly makes you appreciate the ups. But it's so important to have support systems, because those downs don't have to feel as down. They don't have to be down as long or as deep. When you have a support system, it's kind of like you have the feeling of it's all going to be okay, because people are telling you that. And they say things to you that make you truly believe that it is going to be okay, because it is. But it's hard to believe when you tell yourself that, or if you can even muster up the strength to tell yourself that. but other people around you saying, you're smart, you're successful, you got this, it's time will heal. Those are your cheerleaders. Those are the people that you want to keep in your life. You want to remove the toxic ones. Now, there's always going to be people that you're just stuck with dealing on a regular basis. Certain coworkers, family members, they are just there, no matter what. But just limit the time you spend with them to as little as possible. Try not to be receptible of what they're putting out. Don't let their toxicity kill your joy, is what I'm saying. Just dust them off to the side. Shoo, be gone with you. and then take a big arms here, open arms, like a big hug, and really just squeeze in all the good, happy, positive people around you and hold them tight. Nurture them because they're going to nurture you. It's very good to have those relationships and connections. So connecting with others is a way to prioritize yourself. And it's also setting future you up for some much needed success. So trust me on this, build those relationships. If you don't have a lot of family support, close friends, I highly recommend getting involved in your community in some way. There are book clubs, there's fitness clubs, there's church groups, there's painting, there's a group for everything. Just go find a group and be a part of it, and just be open to getting to know some new people, some unbiased people, some people who aren't necessarily like living in your home, people who will feel like a breath of fresh air when you spend time with them. Okay? Because prioritizing yourself is not an option. You have to prioritize you if you really want to get the most out of life. If you want to be happy, if you're constantly being like, I want to be happy, I want to feel happy, I want to feel better, then you're going to have to prioritize you. If you want to reach goals, if you want to improve in any way, any part of your life, physically, mentally, professionally, spiritually, you're going to have to prioritize yourself. You're going to have to learn to do all these things we just talked about. So you're going to have to learn to set boundaries, schedule me time, practice self-compassion, focus on your well-being, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Learn to delegate tasks and learn to connect with others. You do all those things and you learn to, if you prioritize those things, you're automatically prioritizing yourself. And inadvertently, you have now learned the habit of practicing self-care on every level by learning to prioritize yourself. And when you practice that self-care, you're going to fill your cups, your tanks, you're charging your batteries, you're going to feel better, you're going to be more productive, you're going to enjoy the journey instead of feeling like you're kind of like somersaulting through the days of the week. How many of you feel like that? By the time you get to Thursday or Friday, you feel like you have been kicked, punched, thrown down, stood back up, done it all again 3 or 4 times. And that's because you're running on low tanks. You're doing all the things that you quote unquote need to do or have to do and not doing any of the things you actually want to do and that honestly you actually need to do. You think you need to do all these other things. And maybe that's true for 50% of them. But for the other 50%, you don't need to be doing all those things. At least not every day, at least not every week, and some of them not at all. And that's where you need to learn to just clear out the noise, clear out the mess, remove all the things that do not serve you. Okay? So, that is how you prioritize yourself. And you will live your best life that way. You truly will. So, self-care sounds pretty good right now, doesn't it? And speaking of self-care, coffee, cheers. Always got to get a drink of that. It's been like more than 20 minutes. And you know, a lot of people ask me, why is the name of your show Java and Joy? Okay, well, I love coffee. And for me, my coffee time, both in the morning and in the afternoon, those are my me times. It might only be 5 or 10 minutes, but it's 5 to 10 minutes of peace and quiet with myself. In the morning, I do my gratitude journal while I have my coffee. In the afternoon, I record this, or I do life coaching, or I read a book. I have some kind of me time while I have my coffee, and that brings me joy. And I wanted my show, my podcast, my YouTube channel to bring you joy. And I do feel like a good cup of coffee can bring people together and give you a reason to sit down for a few minutes with yourself and schedule that me time by having that cup of coffee. So for me, it just made sense. Plus, I mean, my name is Carla Joy. So Joy is my middle name, literally. So hence, Java and Joy was born. And that's the story of Java and Joy. I get that question a lot, so I wanted to answer that one on the show. So, I digress. But hopefully, you have learned something in this. I got at least one little nugget of information that was inspiring or uplifting or maybe even life-changing. But either way, I hope that you at least have a better idea of how to prioritize yourself from this episode. But that's all I have for you today. Always remember that you can reach out to me anytime with questions, coaching questions. I have free guides for self-care if you need it. That's at beautybycarlajoy.com. I will put them in the show notes. And if you could, please like, subscribe, share my podcast, share my channel, leave me reviews. All those things help so much for me to grow and reach more women and hopefully help them make monumental changes in their lives as well and to find their joy. So help me pay it forward by liking and sharing and all the things. All right? That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for carving out this time to spend with me today, and more importantly, to spend with yourself today. So good job on practicing some self-care just by listening to this episode. And I will see you guys again next week. Go find your joy. Bye.